and His saving grace. It goes on to say, and He said to them, "This old dove, take these things hence." So even though Jesus was turning over tables and whipping the oxen, He might have been whipping the money changers. We see this action going on in Jesus' character, but even still, He was in control. He said to them, "This old dove, take these things hence." This short passage shows us that even in His righteous anger, Jesus was totally in control, handling the doves with care. He asked the men to please take these doves out carefully. So you just imagine him turning over tables, whipping these guys, and he takes the doves. The doves. And His disciples remembered that it was written, "The zeal of thine house hath eaten me up." You see, Jesus coming to the temple and cleansing His Father's house was prophesied in Malachi 3, described how the Lord, whom you seek, will come to His temple. And in Zechariah 14, imagine a perfect day when merchants and pagans will no longer be present in the Lord's temple. You see, the church exists for two reasons. First, for exaltation, for worshiping and exalting the Lord. For all things were made for Him and by Him for His pleasure, including the church. The second reason the church exists is for edification. The church exists to edify the saints. That's talking to all of you. To build them up, to bring them into the maturity, into the measure of the stature that is in the fullness of Christ. You see, we're all God's temple, individually and corporately. And He is zealous for His church, and He loves His church, and He wants no barriers between Him and us and His church. It goes on to say, Jesus answered and said unto them, Then answered the Jews and said unto Him, What sign shewest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? Notice the Jews didn't ask, why are you doing these things? Because, any Jewish man that would travel there, got taken for, all of his money just to buy a calf or exchange his money to pay the temple taxes. No, the things were right in Jerusalem. So, they didn't ask, why are you doing these things? But everyone there wanted to know why He did what He did. All the people in the temple all the people knew that the temple needed cleansing. They only wanted to know under whose authority He did it. Because it would have been a pretty courageous thing, act at the time to make such a ruckus in the temple. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? But He spake of the temple of His body. So you see, here Christ was making a prophecy. Jesus was making the Jews a promise that they couldn't understand at the time. He wasn't referring to the temple that King Herod had restored, that sat on a hill overlooking Jerusalem. He was talking of the temple that was His body. And now He would be crucified, and how He would be crucified and buried in the tomb, and be resurrected the third day, conquering sin and death and becoming the last unblemished lamb to be sacrificed for the atonement of all sins, evermore and for eternity. That whoever believes in Him shall have everlasting life. Amen? Amen. So the Jews, there's no way they could have understood this. And you see in Matthew and Mark and Luke, they refer to the temple cleansing at the end of their chapters, all leading to the death of Christ. But here in John, we're seeing that he's talking about it in the beginning of Jesus' ministry as the second miracle that He showed. So some scholars say that there might have been two temple